Welcome to Slimefoot, the Stowaway. As far as opening hand goes, yeah, I love it. We have Knight's Whisper, we have 2 lanes in the hand, we have Astronaut's Altar, which always makes for a really fun sapling video. And then Obnixilis and then Succumb to Temptation to get some pretty good card draw going. So I will definitely keep on this one. Let's see if our opponent wants to mulligan past 6 or not. Oh, there we go. They're going to hold at 6. And then we'll let them go and do their thing. We are playing Slimefoot, the Stowaway. Whenever a sapling you control dies, Slimefoot deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. And then for a 4-mana activation, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. And I'll cover Atraxa in just a second. Let's see what we draw into. Draw into Putrefy. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's go and get down. Yeah, we're going to get down Swamp at this point, and we're going to pass turn to our opponent. Playing gets Atraxa, Praetors Voice, Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink. Then at the beginning of your end step, Proliferate. So hopefully we'll be able to get out from underneath this one. We'll see what sort of build our opponent has on Atraxa. Hopefully it's not Super Friends, because it's not we're not really that well positioned against Super Friends, but we're going to try our best. But other than that, we did cover both commanders. It's free time, and we can talk about whatever we want. That's going to be Slimefoot. Now, as far as this particular build of Slimefoot, if you're building a fungus deck, you can definitely run a lot of really good fungus creatures in there. What I wanted to do is I really wanted to take advantage of stuff like Sapling Migration, which I'll definitely cover. Let's go ahead and go for Knight's Whisper. I would also, technically, they're saplings with an R, but that just does not roll off my tongue. So the rest of the video, they're going to be sapling tokens. That's just is what it is. All right, anything else? Let's go and kick the turn. We will have to discard a card. We do have Viscera Seer as a sack outlet. So actually, I think I'm going to be okay with getting rid of Bloodthorn Vampire. So we're going to get rid of Bloodthorn Vampire since we do have a sack outlet, and we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yeah, so we're looking to utilize stuff like Sapling Migration. That way we can really get these sapling tokens going on the battlefield. You know, those spore counters, they're a lot of fun to get going, but it's just really, really slow. And they're just very, very quickly undone by just any sort of board wipe. And it's always really hard to bounce back from that. So that's why we're relying really heavy on stuff like Sapling Migration. Anything when we get for 3, I kind of like leaving, going for Succumb to Temptation, which, let's go and do this. Let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. We can crack Marsh Flats, get one of our dual sources onto the battlefield, and they'll be able to go for Succumb to get some pretty good card draw going. And we'll see what else our opponent's going to get out. We could have gone for Slimefoot, but I like just digging a little bit deeper into our library. I like hopefully maybe getting access to, getting to Obnixilis on the battlefield. Hopefully we can kind of keep Atraxa in check by going for that. Okay, let's go and crack Marsh Flats. Let's go and grab a Bayou, have that come into play. Let's go and grab Bayou, and let's go and go for Succumb to Temptation. We're going to draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Alright, so we draw into Lana War. There we go, beautiful. We run into 5 lands, so that's pretty good. We'll have 5 lands once we get that down. Ooh, and Skull Clamp. That's absolutely wonderful. Let's go and get down Swamp. And let's do this. Let's get down, let's get down Lana Warways. Let's go and tap out for Slimefoot. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. And then let's go and get down Skull Clamp, because that does put us online for going for Carrion Feeder next turn, which will really allow us to kind of start digging into our library. Let's go and get down Skull Clamp. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. Now, we do have a really fun, we have a fun card in here called Tainted Strike, which you don't know about. That's 1 black mana. Target creature gains Infect. So basically, the cool thing about Slimefoot is that it deals damage. It's not like Blood Artist, where target opponent loses 1 life and we gain 1 life. Slimefoot's going to allow us to deal that damage. So we can actually use Tainted Strike in addition to a ton of saplings on the battlefield to kind of deal enough lethal damage to our opponent. Basically, it kind of allows us to kind of get out from underneath, getting that 30 life. Which, honestly, if you think about it flavor-wise, it fits so perfectly in the deck, and I absolutely love it. All right, opponent's going to go for Atraxa, and that will leave him just enough to go for Putrefy. Now, what we can do if we want to, we can actually go for Putrefy on Swiftfoot Boots. That'll also allow us to go for Obnixilis, but let's see if we can't maybe draw into something to keep Atraxa off the battlefield. Let's go and let them swing in. Okay, so we have Atraxa swinging in for 4. That will put us down to 21, and that will be 4 total commander damage for our opponent. All right, we draw into Forest. Let's do this. Let's go and get Mountain down. Let's go and go for Carrion Feeder. Yeah, I think I like that. Let's go and get down Carrion Feeder. And then what we can do is we can simply leave out Putrefy. Let's go and go for Skull Clamp onto Carrion Feeder. I like that. Let's go for that. All right, we draw into Bond and Costly Plunder. Do we want to get down Viscera Seer, or do we want to leave up Putrefy? You know what, let's do this. Let's go and go for Putrefy while our opponent is tapped out. I mean, they do have access to blue, so I would hate to lose out on a counter spell like this. Actually, let's sequence this just a little bit differently. Let's go and tap Bayou down. I'll go ahead and go Gary off of that. Tap down Lana Warway, so let's go for Putrefy on Swiftfoot Boots. There we go. Now that will put us online next turn, being able to get down Obnixilis and going down for Viscera Seer. And then also kind of keeps us online for Skull Clamp too. So anything else? No. Let's go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yes, like I mentioned, we have some pretty good stuff in here. We have Tainted Strike. We also have some fun stuff like a Sanguine Bond. Whenever we gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So if we can kind of start to build a really nice Aristocrats package on the battlefield, that also really kind of complement everything else. And actually, I just remembered, I don't know if I have Poison Tip Archer in here. I need to add that in here. That was one of the new cards that got released, and it fits in perfectly with Slimefoot. We definitely want to get that extra, as many Aristocrat triggers as we can. So it always makes for a really fun match. And the good thing is we did get down Skull Clamp. We can also get this down with probably end up going for Sapling Migration next turn. That way we get those saplings going and really kind of start going through there. Like I mentioned, we have Tainted Strike, so if we had it in the hand, we might be tempted to kind of build up a board state of sapling tokens to kind of go for Lethal Infect. But I think at this point right now, I like just kind of cashing through our card draw as quickly as possible. All right, opponent's going to swing it for 4. That will put us down to 17, and there will be 8 total commander damage dealt by our opponent. Okay, and we draw 2 forests. Let's go and get forests down. Yeah, I like going for Sapling Migration. That's going to be, if we go for the kicker, that's going to be 4 tokens, 1, 2, 3, but we're not going to be able to get that down. Do we want to hold on to that, man? Now, if we go for Obnixilis, we go for the -3, that will take care of Atraxa, and that'll basically kind of put them going for Atraxa again next turn. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go for Obnixilis. I like keeping Atraxa off the battlefield. That life gain is really going to be a problem for us with Atraxa, and that kind of forces them to do something, completely waste their turn retapping out for Atraxa, or at least kind of dealing with Obnixilis on the battlefield. So let's go for that -3, destroy Atraxa, and then let's go ahead and get down Viscera Seer. Alright, then anything, we could push in for 2, but we definitely want to be able to protect Obnixilis, so we're just going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. Now, with Sapling Migration, we will be able to get that kicker cost down, so if they end up tapping out for Atraxa, we might end up going for a kick Sapling Migration. That's really going to turn us online for Skull Clamp to start drawing a ton of cards into our hand, which I'd definitely like to get that going. But unfortunately, with that lifelink from Atraxa, it's really going to set us back as far as closing out with an Aristocrats win. So kind of random talk. So my wife and I, we saw Jurassic, I think it's Fallen Kingdom or Fallen Empire or something like that. We saw that last night, and I've always been a fan of Jurassic Park. It's always been a good movie, so we went to go see that, and it was pretty good. I don't know if anybody's seen the new Jurassic Park movie. I mean, it was kind of cheesy. It felt like there's some times where we were just kind of watching like a Mystery Science Theater movie, just the way stuff was set up, and you could see it coming from a mile away. But yeah, if it's something you want to go see, if you're a fan of Jurassic Park, definitely go for it. Go check it out. It's worth just an interesting night to go see. I mean, it was just I don't know how to describe it. There was a couple of times where they had the T-Rex roar, like on the screen, where he's just like yelling into the air, and I was just like, I just wanted to put my hand up in the air and be like, yes, that is good. That is exactly what I came for. And I think there was 2 of them. I think there's 2 T-Rex roars. And so I always judge a Jurassic Park movie by how good the T-Rex roar is. So it definitely had a couple good ones on there. But it was definitely an interesting concept. And the way, I'm not going to spoil anything, but with the way that they left it, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty good, interesting number 3 song. But I think number 3 is not going to come out until like 2021 or something like that. So is what it is. Ooh, drawn to Keen Sense. Okay, let's go and get Forest down. Let's go ahead and go for Keen Sense onto Slimefoot. Yeah, I like that. Let's get Keen Sense on Slimefoot, and then let's go and go for Obnixilis. We're going to plus up and draw an additional card. And that'll force our opponent to swing Atraxa over at Obnixilis to kind of get rid of Obnixilis off the battlefield. Alright, so we draw into Nature's Claim. Now, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can completely tap out for Sapling Migration, and also, actually, we have Viscera Seer, so I think I like that. Let's go ahead and tap out with the kicker cost on this. It's going to be 6. Okay, there's going to be 4 saplings on the battlefield. Anything else? No, let's go ahead and pass the turn to our opponent. Now, if we get down Ashnod's Altar, that will allow us to start generating a little bit of extra mana and basically kind of act as an additional Viscera Seer, or at least an additional sack outlet. But more than likely, we might end up going for Skull Clamp next turn, because that's going to be a ton of card draw. We're looking at Skull Clamp on a sapling token. That's going to be 1 damage dealt to our opponent by Slimefoot. With Keen Sense on the battlefield, that allows us to draw a card. So basically, it's going to kind of turn into Ancestral Vision with Skull Clamp going for those activations, which you definitely want to go for. And we also have Costly Plunder. So if our opponent does go for some sort of artifact removal or something like that, we can use Costly Plunder in response to that to get a little bit additional card draw for that. Okay, opponent's going to get down Voice of Plenty. It's going to be flying. You and Planeswalkers you control have hexproof. Okay, that's going to be fine. I think Slimefoot's ability is... Yeah, Slimefoot's ability is not a targeted ability, so at least we're going to be able to get out from underneath that, not having hexproof. I know with Blood Artist is a targeted ability, so if they have hexproof, our opponent does, we will not be able to target them with Blood Artist effects. And that also does keep us off Sanguine Bond too, so not being able to target our opponent. Yeah, you planeswalkers you control and other creatures you control have hexproof, so yeah, that'll kind of cut us off on that. Let's see if there's anything else that we try and want to set up for next turn. Yeah, we do need to get down Ashnod's Altar. I think we do have another way in here to kind of go infinite with Ashnod's Altar if we get down Parallel Lives and get those sapling tokens going. It allows for infinite kind of not draw steps, but infinite tokens, and then sacrifices too. So at least that's going to be another way if the board gets a little bit too oppressive that we can. Ooh, opponent's going to swing in for 4. Okay. So we have 12 total commander damage and allow us to get rid of Atraxa at this point right now if we go for that -3 ability, which I'll definitely be a-okay with that. Alright, so we untap and we draw into Forest. Let's go and get Forest down. Yeah, I like going for... yeah, we can get some good card. We could go for -3 on Omnixilis on Voice of Plenty. Let's do this. Let's get some card draw going. Let's go Skull Clamp on one of our sapling tokens. Okay, so we draw into 2 lands. Let's go and go for another go off Skull Clamp. Ooh, draw into Tainted Strike. Okay, let's keep this going. Right at this point right now, we're trying to potentially use Omnixilis to use the -3 on Voice of Plenty and then go for Atraxa. So we're going to go for one more activation. Okay, there we go. We've finally run into another piece of removal. Let's go and go for -3 on Omnixilis to take care of Voice of Plenty. It's going to take care of that creature. Then we can also go for the Throat on Atraxa. That's going to make our opponent at least kind of tap out next turn to get that down. Let's go and go for the Throat on Atraxa. Let's go and get down Fellwar Stone. And then let's go and tap out for Golgari Signet. That's going to be 1 and then 2. Okay, anything else? No, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. We do have to discard 3 cards, but thankfully we have a ton of lands in the hand, so we can get rid of a lot of these lands and then be in a really good spot. Now, if we do draw into Spore Mound somehow, I would definitely want to hold on to this fetch land. So let's go and get rid of Forest. Let's go and get rid of Swamp. And let's go and get rid of, well, do we want to hold on to Bond? That actually might work out if we get enough card draw going. Yeah, we'll just go and get rid of Overgrown Tomb. I think we'll be okay on that one. All right, and we'll see what our opponent wants to roll out for the turn. Now, one thing that we do have online is we finally drew into Tainted Strike. So we can also get down Heartstone. That's going to give us a reduced cost off our activated abilities of creatures. So it's going to basically put us at about 3 mana. So let's say we do tap out for Heartstone. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. We're at this point right now, we're looking at about 3 or 4 saplings on the battlefield. So it's not that far-fetched that we might be able to build up a good enough board state to go for Tainted Strike. But it's going to go for Corpsejack Menace. Okay. I'm really enjoying our opponent's build of Atraxa. It looks like a really fun deck to pilot. But yeah, so we can get down to Heartstone. That'll allow us to really kind of start churning out some of those sapling tokens to hopefully maybe go for that Tainted Strike. And then our opponent's tapping out for their very own Fellwar Stone, the baked potato version of Fellwar Stone. I don't know why this art always makes me laugh because it looks so realistic, and it looks like a baked potato that was put in the microwave for way too long. All right, so our opponent's going to get down Tuskguard Captain, and then oh, look at that art, love that. That looks like a mammoth or something like that. Okay, opponent's going to pass the turn. Let's see what we draw into. Well, once again, we have Skull Clamp to really kind of start drawing in a few more cards. Draw into Dark Confidant. Okay, I like that. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and get down Dark Confidant. And we're going to go for a Skull Clamp equip on this one. Simply want to draw a few more cards. It'd be nice to keep Dark Confidant on the battlefield, but at this point, with us sitting at about 15, it may not be the best thing for us to do. I know I like to play aggressively, but I'll definitely cash in a Dark Confidant for some card draw versus some life loss at this point right now. Okay, we draw into Read the Bones and then Growing Rites of Itlimoc. We need to have at least 4 more creatures on the battlefield, which we're not going to be able to. So if we go for Growing Rites of Itlimoc, that'll really open us up as far as mana production. So let's do this. Let's go for Growing Rites of Itlimoc. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. We can look at the top card of our library, or at least the top 4 cards, see if we can't hit a creature card and get it on the battlefield. If not, we can tap out for a Slimefoot activation, and that'll put us at the necessary requirement to get this to flip. That'll really open us up as far as getting a few more saplings on the battlefield. Alright, let's go and grab Jade Mage. And that'll actually work out really good with Heartstone. We're going to put those on the bottom in any order. Let's go and get down Windswept Heath for the turn. And let's go ahead and go for Jade Mage. It's going to be actually going to get down to Heartstone too. Let's go and get Forest down. Let's go and tap out for Jade Mage. It's going to be 1 Golgari Signet. And it's going to get down Heartstone. That's actually going to be a quicker way for us to get saplings on the battlefield and hopefully maybe go for Tainted Strike. So once we get this down and pass the turn to our opponent, we'll kind of add up how much mana we have and see if we can't close it out next turn. Okay, no swing in from us, and then anything else, let's just go and kick it back over there. Okay, so with Cradle on the battlefield, we're looking at being able to tap out for 4 total mana. Also with Heartstone, that's going to allow us to get 2 more saplings on the battlefield. So as far as next turn goes, let's see if we can't kind of add this up. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're looking at 11 mana. Let's say we get 2 more tokens on the battlefield. That'll be an additional 6. We might be able to close it out with Tainted Strike. It'll get pretty close to that one. Opponent's going to go for Outlast on their captain. Each creature you control with a +1 counter has trample. Okay, that's not too bad. We are looking at 9 coming across, which puts us down to 5. So, and we also still have Slimefoot too, so that'll allow us to gain a little bit of life. So, unless they have some sort of stampede or something like that to close it out with combat damage, I think we should be able to survive until next turn at least. Okay, opponent's going to tap out for Atraxa. I feel really good now, now that our opponent's tapping out for Atraxa. So we're going to add that green mana to our mana pool, get a few more saplings onto the battlefield. You know, if our opponent wants to swing in, sure, go for it. It's just 5 coming across, and then that should put us in a spot to where we can get enough tokens on the battlefield to where we can close it out with Tainted Strike. So let's see how they want to do this combat step. All right, they do not swing in. And let's go and add that mana to our mana pool. Add green for each creature we control. We're going to add a sapling token. And we're going to add 1 more sapling token onto the battlefield. Alright, so we draw into Misty. Let's go and get Misty down. You know what, let's go and go for Tainted Strike. Let's see if this is going to be good. Let's go and go for Tainted Strike on Slimefoot. And let's go and add this green mana to our mana pool for each creature that we control. Actually, let's do it this way. So we're looking at 1, 2. And what I may end up doing is I may kind of speed this up until we start sacrificing some of these sapling tokens. Alright, so we have 8 saplings on the battlefield. We're going to be able to add this green mana to our mana pool for each creature we control, and that should be enough to go ahead and close it out. Let's get a few more on the battlefield just to be safe, but thankfully with Jade Mage having that instant speed activation, pretty much any sort of spot removal from our opponent, we're going to be able to sack the board out in response to anything like Swords to Plowshare or Path to Exile. Okay, let's go and go for some Viscera Seer activation, sacrifice a creature. Okay, our opponent's going to scoop it up. We were going through the motions of sacrificing all the saplings, but long story short, we had 7 mana sitting in our mana pool with Heartstone on the battlefield. So even if our opponent did have some sort of instant speed action with their Citadel on the battlefield, we could still make a few more saplings on the battlefield and still sacrifice them to Viscera Seer to kind of get that Slimefoot activation going. But like I said, don't run Infect in a lot of decks, but in a deck like this where it fits flavor-wise and really helps us close the game out, you know, we are at turn 10, so at this point, somebody should be winning. It definitely allows us to help kind of close the game out outside of normal Aristocrats damage. So if you enjoyed that video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.